Thanks, Tammy. Tammy's keeping us legal. So, good morning, everyone. We have a small group today, both in person and virtually. We're waiting for our first speaker, but we might, Jessica, call on you first, because our gentleman from DOT, Stuart Thompson, evidently hasn't arrived yet. So I see you're ready to go, which is great. Thank you. So let's just wait a couple more minutes if that makes sense. We also don't have a chair. So we always
We don't have a meeting, so it doesn't matter. We
Yeah.
don't have a meeting. We have a gathering of those members present.
We have a gathering, and you're missing out on some really good bagels, just saying. We've done a taste test comparison, and the Bagel Cafe in Manchester has one. Although I understand there's a great place in Bedford, Becky. Sorry, not to catch you in mid-bite. Yeah, but.
It's the Bagel Cafe, Bedford.
Oh, it's the bagel, so it's the same thing. They're competing with themselves. But I am willing to try out other bagels for our taste test comparison. Anyway.
Sylvia, since we have a small group, maybe next time we could do locks. Since.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really nice.
Yeah.
So I'm just seeing Stuart. Yay. And you just have to unmute yourself. And Tammy, will you make Stuart a
hang on just a second. I'm gonna have one of the other people here make the presentation, if that's okay with you all.
yeah, sure. So whoever ends up making the presentation will make them co-host. If you need some time, we can have our second speaker, Jessica Wilcox from DES, start.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, why don't we go ahead and do that? I guess, is that advisable, Nate, just to start our meeting, even though it's sort
We
of.
don't have a meeting, so yeah.
So this is a gathering.
The gathering of those members present.
Of the TAC membership. So I'll go ahead and move this around so you can see Becky from Bedford's here, and Nate and Adam and Carl. There's Nancy, George, and Andrew. So that's our in-house gathering. So Jessica, if you could, Tammy, we have one more. Yay.
It's me.
It's Tracy.
Sorry, I'm late.
So we have 6 in our gathering. We need 8 if we're gonna make a quorum, so. All right.
Sylvia, I don't have the ability to make her a co-host since I am also a co-host.
Oh, all right, I will make. So here we go.
That's Salma Sultana there.
Okay, Jessica, you should be good to go.
All right, so, yep, and if everyone could mute themselves, that'd be great. And I'm gonna go ahead and mute us here as well.
Great. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for inviting me to your gathering this morning. I'm actually stepping in for one of my colleagues. You may be familiar with Ricky DeCillo, who's the grants coordinator here in the Air Resources Division at DES. So I work closely with him. We're in mobile sources together, and I also coordinate our state's Clean Cities Coalition. And good to see you all. I know many of you are familiar with me already, so and familiar with this program that I'm about to go through. But we just wanted to highlight this. For the TAC, because I know a lot of you are working in your towns and communities to bring clean transportation to those communities, and this is one way to do that. So the New Hampshire State Clean Diesel Program, fiscal year 2022, is now open, and I'm just going to kind of go through the program again. It's always kind of good to hear it. Sometimes you might pick up on something new, and as this program has progressed here at the state, we've been receiving this funding annually from EPA for many years, and as this program progresses, the funding opportunity itself has changed and morphed, and priorities change and morph, so it's kind of good to kind of revisit it and go through that again. I just want to call attention to the fact that all the information that I'm going to be sharing with you today is hosted on the DES website, and that link is on this page, and that'll be shared with you all as well. So we anticipate a total amount of funding of 1.4 million for this program. And the reason I say anticipate, because I just told you the program is open, is that we haven't actually officially received the funding from EPA. But the way that this program works, we want to invite applications to our request for proposals, and we're going to go through a period of evaluation and scoring. And so by the time we actually get to project selection and then going through the governor and council process for approval of those projects, and then those projects getting completed and submitting for reimbursement, by the time all of that happens, we'll have that funding. So we wanted to kind of get this process going ahead of time to see if that makes it easier for communities to respond. So as you're maybe aware of, this is a reimbursement program. So basically, you perform, the community performs the project, replacing an older diesel or newer diesel vehicle, depending on if you're going to be transitioning to an alternative fuel. You can kind of get around some of those age restriction requirements for the program, but you would replace that and then you would submit for reimbursement. So eligible projects include replacing diesel units, and by unit, this could be a class 5 to 8 vehicle like a truck or an off-road vehicle. It could be an engine, solely an engine itself, or a marine engine. It could be installing idle reduction technology. So we use the word unit to refer to all of the different components that this encompasses. And as I mentioned, it could be on-road highway vehicles. It could be non-road vehicles. It could be locomotives, marine vessels, diesel engines. This is open to most fleets and owners. What we mean by that is that towns and cities can apply, private businesses can apply, school districts can apply. Program is open now, and the first round of proposals is due September 9th at 4 p.m. But we're also going to allow subsequent rounds. So if we don't spend all that money or commit all that money in the first round, depending on what we receive for applications and how those are scored, because not every project that we received is going to get selected, right? It's a competitive program. So projects get scored against each other, and then they're selected based on higher scores. So if funding remains, there may be a round 2 and a round 3 available. But I would urge any interested communities, or if you're aware of any businesses within your community that may be looking to perform projects like this, I would urge you to try to apply sooner rather than later. So a little bit of background. The Environmental Protection Agency has been providing the state with this funding annually. It's funded through the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act, or DERA, which is why you might hear this program called DERA a lot. Not to be confused with the more national DERA program. This is a state, we receive funding, formula funding at the state level, and that's how we administer this program. We also match this funding with Volkswagen settlement funds. And the beauty of that is when you match the funding from the EPA, we get bonus funding, which allows us to have a larger pool of money to offer to our communities here in the state. Leftover funds from fiscal year 21 have been added to this year's funding, which is why we're at that 1.4 million mark. Generally, we're looking at about 800,000 available. So 1.4 million is a nice pool of money for projects this year. As mentioned before, we don't actually anticipate getting the base funding from EPA until October, but not to worry, we're moving forward with that. And obviously the goal is to improve air quality for residents of New Hampshire by reducing diesel emissions and exhaust emissions, which are carcinogenic and can cause a lot of health issues. So 2 major categories of projects, right? We have vehicle, engine, or equipment upgrades, such as replacing older 2009 and older vehicles with new diesel vehicles or diesel engines, replacing diesels of any age with, remember I mentioned alternative fuels or cleaner fuels like propane, compressed natural gas, or electric vehicles. That age restriction completely goes away. You could replace a 2019 diesel vehicle with an electric vehicle or a propane vehicle if you were going to choose alternative fuel. You can replace engines in marine vessels. You could rebuild a locomotive. So on the seacoast, obviously we have some trains over there. Those types of projects would be eligible, and more. That's not the end of all the different projects, but our request for proposals, our funding opportunity kind of goes through what those are. This also want to highlight, we've gotten some interest in electrifying truck stops, and this is basically putting electric poles in the ground so that truckers can come in and plug in and use that electricity to power the accessories in the cab. So this is kind of a new project that we're highlighting as well. Shore plug-in for marine vessels, very similar to that electrified truck stop or parking space, and then plug-ins for trains as well. Some example projects of what we received in the past is replacing school buses with electric school buses, replacing old diesel plow trucks with new diesel plow trucks. A popular one is replacing old diesel wheeled loaders with new diesel wheeled loaders. But I also want to highlight alternative fuels here, replacing diesel refuse trucks with compressed natural gas powered refuse trucks. Drayage trucks, there's a higher percentage of funding match with drayage projects. It's a 50-50 match versus the other types of projects, which are a little bit less. Replacing engines in fishing boats, rebuilding locomotive engines, electrifying parking spaces, diesel powered freight cranes with a new crane that plugs directly into the grid. So a few restrictions to keep in mind. EPA does obviously want these projects to be beneficial for air quality. So there's some restrictions based on older emissions and newer emissions components, which is why we say generally, if you're going to do a diesel to diesel project, that vehicle or that engine has to be model year 2009 or older, because in 2010, the emissions components changed and things got a little cleaner. On-road diesel vehicles have to be class 5 to class 8. So this is not for like the F-250, pickups. This is more for the larger, medium and heavy duty vehicles. They must be in regular usage. They can't already be disabled or not in use. They have to have had accrued so many miles over the past couple of years, like 7,000 miles per year, I think, for a regular vehicle. And if you replace a diesel unit, it must be scrapped. I know it's a lot of times challenging for communities who hope to either reuse that vehicle in another way or scrap it. I'm sorry, or kind of like salvage some things off of it. But unfortunately, it must be scrapped. And there's guidance on that as well. As far as administrative restrictions, the funding percentage is based on the project type. We're going to go into that a little bit more in the next slide. And funds are reimbursed, unfortunately, after that project is completed. So you do need to have that funding up front or find a way to float it. We do allow 1 full year from when projects are approved by Governor and Council to be completed. So in this case, the projects must be completed no later than September 30th of 2023. And there's a little star there because obviously with supply chain issues and other challenges going on right now, the EPA and obviously the state and EPA realize that there could be some challenges in meeting that deadline. So we can submit for an extension, and we have seen those approved, but it's something we can't guarantee is possible. But we say, let's try submit the project. Let's see if we can get it through Governor and Council if it gets selected, and then worry about whether or not we need to apply for an extension later on. You cannot start that project until after that Governor and Council approval. And if you do, and any funds expended prior to would not be reimbursed. So we talked about this match, what does the DERA project or the DERA funding cover, and what would the applicant have to come up with? And as I mentioned, applicants can be private businesses or towns and cities or school districts, et cetera. So for a drayage truck replacement, and drayage vehicles operate at ports mainly, it's a 50-50 split. So let's say that total project cost was $200,000. DES, the funding through the DERA program could cover potentially up to half of that, or $100,000. Replacing a 2009 or older vehicle or off-road piece of equipment with a diesel vehicle would garner a 25% match from the program. So the applicant would have to come up with 75% match towards that project. I do want to highlight that if you're replacing vehicle or equipment with an electric option, that it's 45% match from the DERA funding, and then the applicant only has to come up with 55% of that. And that does also allow for a 1-to-1 ratio of one vehicle with one new electric vehicle with one new electric vehicle charging station. So charging station funding is also available for that project as well. Now, scoring changes each year, and scoring is something that you want to pay attention to as an applicant when you're completing the application, because this is where the scoring committee, comprised generally of DES and other engaged agencies and folks here, they're going to be looking at these different components of the application and then putting points towards those components. So one of the biggest is cost effectiveness of the emissions reductions. So how effective is this project in reducing emissions, and how cost effective is it? 45 points is being based on that. So towards your total score of 100, that's a big component of that. So things to keep in mind as you're completing that. How much does the vehicle operate in New Hampshire? How much does it benefit an environmental justice community? And as you can see, there's some clarification on what these different categories mean. And this is all available on that website, for that DES DERA website. We also are looking at greenhouse gas emissions reductions, which is your carbon emissions, CO2, the clarity of the proposal and potential for success, whether or not it benefits an area populated by sensitive receptors. So think about schools and hospitals and disadvantaged areas. We also have bonus points available. So if you're replacing with an alternative fuel like propane or natural gas or electric, 25 bonus points is available towards that. If you are a government entity, so this is a municipality, state agency, school, et cetera, 10 bonus points. And then for additional benefits, say you're going to promote the project in some capacity, or it's reducing noise, if it's an idle reduction project that allows the engine to be shut off at a job site and you're reducing noise, 5 bonus points for that. So some things to pay attention to as you're developing your project. Estimated timelines. So as I mentioned, we've got several rounds going, but that first round I think is going to be the critical round. And we're asking for projects to be submitted to DES by September 9th at 4, and then ultimately completed by September 30th of next year. And so Granite State Clean Cities and myself, we're here to help. We're a coalition of experts, and we have connections to the U.S. Department of Energy and then all the national labs. So as you're crafting projects, if you're coming into an area where you've got technical questions or you just need some advice or some guidance, we're here to help. We do help with project development and fleet analysis. We're obviously very aware of these funding programs. We work closely with our colleagues here at DES to provide this type of technical support and project development support. We also are heavily into education and outreach, so you may be familiar with our workshops and webinars and presentations that we do. We've also been doing some demonstrations of new medium and heavy duty technology. We're working on an electric school bus demonstration in the North Country right now, so stay tuned for more information about that, just because it may be making a little circuit around the state. We also have a lot of resources available, and we're here to help kind of connect you to those resources. So as the RPC and the TAC is working with communities, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me if you're looking for, anything, information about alternative fuels, looking for a request for proposal, model language, looking for calculators or tools that can help connect you to that information. And of course, my colleagues here, this is the program that we've been administering, so we're very heavily invested in it. We've got examples of past projects. If you need some inspiration, we can help you determine the eligibility of your project and kind of guide you through the application process. So please do not hesitate to reach out to either myself, Jessica Wilcox, or my colleague, Ricky DeSillo. We can get you connected to the right information. Once again, that information for this program is available on the DES website, and I'll put the link in the chat. Thank you so much for your time.
Great, thank you so much.
Any questions? Happy to take them.
Any questions from in-house or our virtual audience? Great. All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll go to our friends at DOT. It looks like we have a new guest, Selma, and also Stuart. So why don't you folks take it away? And I guess who should I make? Stuart, should I make Selma the presenter, or?
Yeah, I just thought I'd introduce myself. I've likely met some of you. So I'm the traffic research engineer at the DOT now. I took Nick Sanders' position about a year ago. So, and Salma is our newest traffic analyst here, and she's been working on some of the COVID things and some of the improvements that we're making with our traffic monitoring system. So I thought it would be appropriate to have her make a presentation. And then if you have any questions, we can both kind of chime in and answer any questions you might have.
Will either of you be presenting a PowerPoint or no, just chatting?
Yeah, if you can make Salma the presenter, that'd be great.
Okay, great. So I'm making you co-host, Selma, and welcome. So you can now share your screen.
I hope everybody can see my presentation.
Yes, we can. It's Is that quite in the view you might want? We can see the slides on the side.
Presentation mode.
Let me.
There you go. You're all set, Selma.
Yeah, and while we're being set up, thank you so much, Jessica, for your presentation. I don't know if I said that.
Thank you again for the opportunity. Great to chat with you guys.
Hello, everyone. I am Salma Sultana. I am working as a traffic research engineer with Bureau of Traffic at New Hampshire DOT. I've just started, so this will be my first presentation. So bear with me. For today's presentation, we will present what after COVID, what traffic looks like, and we'll talk about traffic monitoring system reset. We're doing something, we're including something new counts, new things. So we'll discuss about that, some new technology. And at the end, AICP, it's a highway safety improvement program. There's some safety counts. All the RPC can be included on that. So Stuart will be discussing that. I will start with the COVID recovery. So for the COVID recovery, we are looking at just examples. So we are looking at 3 different function class, 3 station, count station. We are looking monthly, daily, and hourly, and we'll see how traffic looks like now. And we pick up January 1 to June 30, just 6 months data that we have available. So first I will talk about freeway and expressway. The count station we're picking up is 02037091. And for that one, it's on Everett Turnpike. And as we are looking at the data for monthly data, we have from January to June. And as we are looking in the plot, as you can see, we have not actually pick up COVID 2019. This is 2019. We are not picking up COVID-19 before COVID-19 traffic yet, but we are going there. It's increasing from 2021 and gradually increasing. So we are going there, but we are still not there yet. And this is for monthly. And if we look at the day of week, like what's going on in Sunday, Monday, and every day of the week, as you can see, we're kind of picking up on Sunday weekends, but on weekdays we are still like really far from before COVID. And for freeway and expressway, as you can see, we are not picking up, but we wanted to plot this one like the hourly distribution, because we have sharp peak hour at like around 7, and then sharp peak hour around 4 and 5. So even though for freeway and expressway, we're seeing that we are still on that peak, but for other type of roadway, sometimes this peak is not that sharp. It's like this is like continuously 3, 4, 5. So traffic along the time is not a peak. It's like similar to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock, the evening, the afternoon peak. And the next one is for other principal arterial. And as you can see from the monthly plot, from freeway and expressway, it was far down, like we are mismatching, but for my other principal arterial, we are picking up. It's like similar and sometimes even higher than 2019, but we're picking up like pretty closely to COVID-19, before COVID-19, for other principal arterial, not with the freeway and expressway. And for weekly, it's the trend is weekend, we are like higher before the COVID-19. It's with growth and everything, so it's supposed to be a little bit higher. That means we are actually picking up before COVID-19 traffic. But and in weekdays also similar for the other principal arterial. And for hourly distribution, as I said before, this morning peak is sharp, but around the evening, afternoon peak, it's not that sharp. It's like going from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It's just not that sharp like 7 in the morning peak. It's distributed throughout 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And we are picking up, and from this plot also you can see that we are picking up to before COVID COVID. And the next last one is minor arterial. And for this one, the data is from January 1 to May 31. So as you can see for this one, we're kind of picking up, but not like other principal arterial. It was, we already picked up actually before COVID-19, but for minor arterial, we are not, but we're close. For monthly and for weekends, as you can see, we are actually kind of higher or kind of picking up, but for weekdays, not so much. And for 24-hour average hourly distribution for this one, this is the most important, that we have peak in here, but this afternoon peak for minor arterial and for other principal arterial is going through distributed from 3 to 5. That means our afternoon peak is kind of changing from before. It's before, when we collected data, we were like always 4 to 6, but now it might be started from 3 to 5 or 3 to 6. We have to see that, look at the data and decide if we want to collect a peak hour data nowadays. We might have to change the afternoon peak hour looking at the data. So this is until the discussion around 3 different functional class of road and how we are picking up before COVID traffic. My next one will be traffic data management system. As we know, or some of us might know that we use MS2 for this. And if you want to see any station, any point, all the data is in here. You can access this data and you can look how much data we are collecting. We are some of these are continuous count. We are updating this count every month, and you can always go and look for this. I think I'm just this point, I know about this much. If Stuart want to add something on this point, traffic data management system.
Yeah, so it's open to the public, so it's public facing, but also if you don't have one with your RPC that has a user login, then we can set you up with the user login, and that gives you some access to the MS2 staff if you have questions, or if you need to get larger dumps of data from the MS2 system. So I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it and see if you all have have anyone involved with that. But this is right now, it's got mostly traffic volume, and we're gonna be improving that over the next 2 years. And I think Salma can provide more information on that.
So when he says that, it's like because MS2 created a lot of report and a lot of plots that you don't have to do by yourself. So if you have like login or user information, then you can produce a lot of plots by yourself, and then you can present the data like a really good way. So it's a good tool to use, and also you have all the data in here. So as we are saying that it's just have volume and sometimes maybe speed, but not all the time. So the next step is we're like increasing our territory about traffic monitoring system. So we have continuous count site, we are increasing to up to 60. We have short count site 6,000. We're resetting our Wayne motion project for 5 locations we had before. Now we are like completely redeveloping them, and we have vehicle and we are resetting 24 location of vehicle classification, because we have some of the location vehicle classification that until 2016. Now we will have 24 locations from, I hope from next year we'll have data, and we will also have additional short counts. So about this vehicle classification, we are looking to 2 different new technologies, and we are kind of using them right now for 1 location, but we'll be using these and we'll be deciding which one to use. So about these, before that, Wayne motion. So we are putting this weighing motion in 5 different locations: Concord, I-393, Hampton Falls, I-95, Rochester, New Hampshire 16, NS16, Manchester, I-93, and Hopkinton, I-89. And these are the locations we'll put weighing motion. So about the vehicle classification, we have 24 locations, and this 24 location was decided based on functional class, factors, growth, highest volume, which it was, and then geographic region. So based on these, we selected 24 location. We will have class, speed, and volume, all 3 data. So I was trying to make him point about which technology we are going to use, and there comes the technology. First one, we'll be using one system called vSign. They normally look at this inductive loop signature, and they also use this artificial intelligence. So we already have a site where we are collecting data using this technology, and I will be showing this. Just give me a second. The website, it's really cool. I think you will like it. So just give me a.
I don't know how Zoom works. You might have to stop sharing the presentation and
Yeah,
share the web
I
page.
will. So these, can you see the site?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the site that I'm talking about. It's in I-93. If we have like all the 24 locations in here, we'll have all the 24 locations. From here, you can see how the system works. And the most cool thing is this process is how the vSign actually classify. They look at the signature and they classify what kind of car it is. So it's in here, as you can see, the speed 79 miles per hour, and the classification of the vehicle is C2, and you can access this all the time. You can see how speed is going. Some of them are literally far flying, and some of them are following the traffic rules, the speed limit, but most of them are not. So we can see that, and from here you can see which classification it is. This is like a really cool tool to see, and this is a classification system we can use. Let me go back to my slide. So the installation process is really easy in fact. So we'll need this kind of pole. We will have a cabinet. In that cabinet, we'll have all the necessary things. So they use this one, they use a loop, they use a camera, and everything is stored in a cabinet, and you can put the cabinet by a pole, and it's done. So this is one technology. The another technology that we'll be using, and we're actually in process, is Litron. So this is using video surveillance and artificial intelligence both. They have like a cabinet. You can put this cabinet in the pole, and they have a video. I will be showing this a little bit later, but how they do this, they pick all, they're in the camera, by camera, it's taking pictures, or it's in the video. They're looking at all the vehicles and classifying it as soon as they see it. So in here, as you can see, this is a class 9, and in the upper side of the monitor, you can see it's class 9 classified. So that's how they do it. And the process of installation is really easy. You need to have a pole, the cabinet, and the cabinet will have battery and everything. So this pole has the camera. This is the cabinet, and you are good to go. So we are doing, we have done 2 different study to see the accuracy of these 2 technologies. First one we did on May 10 from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And we put this on I-93 between Main and Manchester Street, Concord downtown. And as you can see, this is the loop. This is for vSign. And in here, we have both of the V-sign and Litron cabinet. We have the traffic. This is the pole. You have the camera in here for Litron, and we have solar power. So that's how we set it up, and then we collected data, and then we did an analysis. So this ground truth was done by Stuart on by NHDOT, and we compared this ground truth data with whatever V-sign and Litron classified. And as you can see, the accuracy is pretty high. It's 96% for V-sign and for 98% for Litron. And the next one we did, so this one was a pretty normal condition. The next one we did, we pick up congested time. It can be is July 1st before July 4 weekend. It's from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. high traffic and all that. So we look at that as 1 p.m. was also high traffic on July 1st, but more traffic was like in low speed was at 4 p.m. So we pick up 4 to 5 p.m. So we compared the data, and as you can see with the V-sign and Litron classification and their data, as you can see, V-sign is 99% accurate and Litron is 98% accurate. So from these, so we discussed like how V-sign and Litron can be installed. One of the things about Litron is it's easily carryable. You can take it anywhere you want to do a short count. And for V-sign, you need to put the loop. But as you can see, for congested, V-sign has higher accuracy. And for Litron, it's carryable. As I said, it's easily you can carry it to any place whenever you want to do a classification short count or any kind of short count, you can use this technology. And this is it for me about the technologies. For HSIP, I will ask Stuart to discuss about this whole thing.
Okay, so I was going to talk a little bit about the HSIP program, Highway Safety Improvement Program. Every state gets some money annually to address safety issues, and HSIP dollars are regulated on what you can spend those on. But AADT, collection of AADT on all paved road segments is HSIP eligible. And the Safety Department of Federal Highways has a mandate to collect, to have available a traffic volume on all paved roads. So not only the state system, but off the state system. So have it available means that it's collected in some interval and maintained somewhere, and that's accessible for safety analysis. The traffic volume collection on public roads is HSIP eligible. Okay, next slide. Okay, looks like that's all we have on that. So I guess it's what I'm letting some of the RPCs and whatnot know, that if you're interested in pursuing some HSIP funding to collect more data on your public roads in your area, then we would be happy to work with you, to work with the safety department here to see if we can identify funding for material or collection or different methods for meeting that requirement by 2026. In New Hampshire, likely if it's going to be successful, RPCs would need to be involved. So we'd be happy to talk to you about that if you're interested. Any questions?
All right, thank you so much. And congratulations, Salma, on your first presentation.
Thank you.
I think you did great. I did have a question way back in your presentation. I wasn't able to really register on the maps the different arterials. There was I think a major and a minor arterial, and I wondered where those were. The site.
For the site.
Yeah, so I'm seeing now you have, yeah.
Yes, I understand. I think, just give me one sec to actually really.
Now, that's the
explain.
first one's on the Everett Turnpike there. So
Yes.
we selected the count stations that had the best data so that we make a good comparison, and then we look for different functional classes. Potentially, there's other locations likely within your specific RPC, but we felt like this sampling of these functional classifications would be representative of both yours and the Nashua RPC. We made a similar presentation for them. And what we're looking to do is to, as we get the data in, we're filling out the graph to see when we're actually, when and if we actually get through the COVID challenge, and also trying to identify how the traffic patterns have changed. And that was pretty evident on the hourly comparison there. Can you go down to the second site, Salma?
So
This
the
was Everett Turnpike, just
the second one is at West Main Street, Hillsboro, and the last minor arterial was Daniel Webster Highway. So 3 locations. The first one is on Everett Turnpike. The second one is on West Main Street, Hillsboro, and the last one is on Daniel Webster Highway on Hillsboro.
Can you
Right,
click
I
on
would-
that map?
Could you pop on those 2 maps, just
Okay.
being a visual person?
So this one is on West Main Street, Hillsboro.
Okay, great, thank you. So it's in the Central's region. Okay, great, thank you.
And the last one is on Daniel Webster Highway on Hillsboro.
Okay, great, thank you so much. Any questions from either the virtual crowd or from in here in the SNHPC?
I have one.
Go ahead, Nate.
Just like in summary, so these 3 locations that you showed us, and my takeaways were, and correct me if I'm wrong, my takeaways were that traffic volumes have largely recovered on the smaller arterial roads and the off interstate, off turnpike arterial roads. So those kind of larger local and regional roads have largely recovered, but the freeway system is recovering, but hasn't recovered to pre-pandemic levels yet. Is that a reasonable synopsis of what you're seeing around the state, or am I misstating a takeaway there?
From this data, we can see, and from some of the other study that I have doing, I see that for lower functional class, like for minor arterial, major collector, minor collector, or other principal arterial, we are going back. But for higher classification, it will take some time.
I also saw a summary. I have not seen that graph that kind of looks like a circle in a circle in a circle. I haven't seen that representation, so it took me a while to really try to get that through my head. But what I understood you, especially from the last one of those on the minor arterial, that it looks like the evening peak has shifted and it's really not a peak anymore. It's more spread out for a longer period of time. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I thought I understood that you said you're really going to re-examine what is the evening peak hour, if it is an hour or more of a range.
Yes. So
Okay.
whenever we decide to collect like for any intersection or anywhere, we decide like how many hours of peak hour data we want to collect for any other analysis we do. So whenever you all actually collect the data for any analysis, we have to look at this now. Now we cannot just pick one peak hour and 2 hours and then collect the data. This is the evening peak is actually shifting or it's distributing.
Right, right. And very interesting. George, sorry.
Oh, okay. I just want to follow up with Nate a little bit, and I know it's hard to do, but have you seen the numbers picking up in the last 3 months, given the gas prices I'm just thinking out loud, does that show that maybe people are driving less again from say April, May, June because of the gas prices? I know it's probably hard to reflect that in those numbers, but I just wonder if that comes into play at all, the last 3 months of this year.
So I have, without these three, I have like looked, I think 3-4 location. I haven't seen the effect yet. I am always comparing with the COVID yet. Still now, and some of the data we collected short count for some of the look in minor arterial or major collector. It's still, I'm always comparing with the COVID, so I haven't like looked if it's down because of a higher gas price. I haven't looked at that way. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
no,
saying
and I understand I'm not putting you on the spot. That I appreciate that. It's more just a thought given the gas prices, but I know that's hard to do. So you don't know if it plays into it. Thank you.
Yeah, Becky here had a question.
Just to follow up on Sylvia's comments about the evening peak shifting, do you think that has lasting potential, or do you think that's part of the post-COVID trend as we recover and the economy recovers?
I will say that I'm not expert on that to say, because I have like haven't looked at this data. I knew always that the peak hour will be this, but it's shifting or it's distributing. When I look at after COVID data, sometimes I saw it's doing that. It's not just a peak anymore, but I don't know if it will be lasting. We have to see the data more.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Some speculation is that the morning peak is the same because we're still taking our kids to school, but in the afternoon it's spread out more because people are working from home and maybe having a little bit different driving patterns.
very, very interesting. Any other questions? Yeah, Adam.
Just a quick observation from doing our traffic data collection in the field in our region. We're seeing much bigger peaks on Tuesday for some reason, and I can't really figure out why that is. Maybe people are taking longer weekends or something, but we've looked at our many different sites, and it's Tuesday's the highest day of the 5 weekdays. So
Wow.
just to throw that out there.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
That's interesting. And I want your Form 8, so ACE and Southern one, we can see like how it's differing to region even maybe.
Yeah. Any other questions from our in-house audience?
Not a question, but I would just say that Stuart, of course, we're happy to help in any way we can with HSIP related data collection. We certainly happy to partner with the department and lend any data we can. We do, I think I sent you previously, Stuart, we do collect quite a number of traffic counts that are not DOT assigned, that we collect on our own accord for the purpose of maintaining and calibrating our regional travel demand model. So we do have a substantial number of count locations within our region that aren't on your MS2 that we collect on a regular 3-year cycle above and beyond what New Hampshire DOT assigns us. So we're happy to share that data as well if it helps move the needle towards what you're trying to achieve with HSIP data.
And I guess the other side of that equation is that if you needed more sites for your travel demand model and it still met the need for collecting traffic volumes on all public roads, then potentially that would be a HSIP fundable effort.
Yeah.
And what the other thing that we're doing is doing our due diligence to install the continuous count stations on all functional classes of road. So when you all are collecting short counts, you will have some factors where you can factor those short counts from ADT to AADT.
Yeah, great.
While we have Salma and Stuart on the phone, I just want to quick point out and introduce. So Adam Lasney in our office right behind me, and the bright orange, he heads up our traffic counting program, also involved in our bike counting program. And in the back wave, Carl also is involved in that program. Also online is Ben and Tammy, and they're also involved in that program. So just so if you see emails from there, now you have a face that goes along with the name. So that's always good to have. And
Excellent.
we probably for French, just to be friendly, should have done a round of introductions, but anyway, there you go. It's kind of a funky day without having a quorum. Anyway, any of our folks online have any questions for our DOT friends? All right, I would say that was very informative, and we're going to have you back. So I hope we see you in about a year. And Lee Levine says thank you. Yeah, that was excellent and very informative. I know we all have been curious about the COVID numbers and how they've changed. So that was really interesting. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity.
Good to see you back in New Hampshire as well, Stuart.
Look forward to working with you, Nate.
All right. Let's see. So I'm now getting at the desk. All right, there we go. I think we have one more presentation, and that is on our SAID's field data collection information. I think, if I'm not wrong, Ben, it's going to be Ben's first presentation.
Yep.
I've just made you co-host, Ben, so you can share your screen.
Awesome. Let me just.
You probably want to put your view on so people can see you.
Oh, yeah. There we go. How's this looking?
It looks great.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Sylvia. My name is Ben Herbert. I'm an assistant planner here at SNHPC, and I'm going to be talking about assessing pedestrian facilities using SAIDs. So just a short introduction on what SAIDs is. SAID stands for Statewide Asset Data Exchange Systems. It establishes a uniform transportation inventory of assets, including a maintainable condition assessment process, which uses useful for many state and local agencies. It utilizes technology and joint efforts for the common good of accurate and sustainable data collection. And some of you may be familiar with our stream crossing inventory, which was collected using SAIDs. Our GIS web map has an inventory of over 1,200 stream crossings in our region, with each site providing up to 120 attributes of data. So SAIDs is in partnership with New Hampshire DOT, DES, Department of Safety, Fish and Game, as well as the New Hampshire Association of Regional Planning Commissions and UNH. And SAIDs is operated by the New Hampshire Technology Transfer Center, also located at UNH. SAIDs can be used for stream crossings as well as road surface management systems and guardrails. But for this presentation and this project, we're using SAIDs for pedestrian infrastructure, such as sidewalks, crosswalks, and curb ramps. So here at SNHPC, data in the field gets collected using the Esri collector app on the iPad. This allows for real-time updates to the inventory once the iPad is connected to the internet. And on top of the iPad, the only tools that we use for data collection are a digital level for grades and slopes and a tape measure. So this minimal use of tools and this level of efficiency allows us to quickly collect data on pedestrian infrastructure, taking 4 minutes per curb ramp and crosswalk and 40 feet per minute regarding sidewalks. So there's multiple ways in which municipalities can use this data. Having this centralized database provides an easier management of pedestrian infrastructure inventory data. Since the map gets updated virtually in real time, it provides a simple tool for tracking sidewalk, curb, and crosswalk inventory conditions. Secondary analysis can be completed to support decision-making, and it promotes interagency coordination on pedestrian connectivity. So moving on to our pilot project, back on July 7th, project manager James Vayo and I conducted an assessment in Auburn as part of our pilot project. We assessed pedestrian infrastructure along Eaton Hill Road near the elementary school and the police and fire station. as well as on King Street off of 121. So just some fast stats about the data we collected. In total, there's 303 feet of crosswalks in Auburn. Out of the 18 curb ramps we assessed, 14 out of them were in good condition. And regarding sidewalks, there are 1.3 miles of sidewalk, also 6,970 feet. 97% of it is made with asphalt and 66% of it is made with granite curbing. And it has a weighted average minimum passable width of 39 inches. So here's our map of the assessment that we made on Eaton Hill Road. We assessed 1,700 feet of sidewalk and crosswalks. And from our assessment, we know that the sidewalk is in good condition. It's made with asphalt, has minimal surface defects, and has no obstructions other than a utility pole. And since you already know the existing sidewalk is in good condition, say you wanted to make a decision on extending the sidewalk around Hooksett Road and Raymond Road. The existing infrastructure on Eaton Hill Road already connects the elementary school and the police and fire department. But if we add this connection, we also know that we could connect a preschool, a library, and a post office. And say we wanted to expand this even more and expand the sidewalk down to the corner of Bunker Hill Road and Chester Road. And in doing so, it would connect a grocery store, a restaurant, town hall, a playground, and the lake. And this is the kind of secondary analysis that SAIDs can support. And some municipalities outside of the SNHPC region have a more complete inventory of pedestrian infrastructure. And this is the kind of analysis that you can make with them. So for example, when talking about populations of people living within 600 feet of sidewalks, in Nashua, there's 52% of them, and in Rochester, there's 33% of them. And special thanks to Zach, our GIS analyst, for providing me with this information. So this is something that we want available to all of our communities. In the end, this can help with supporting capital improvement planning, conducting analyses with data from the inventory, and familiarization with how to use SAIDs in general. So if you're interested in working with us on this, please feel free to reach out to us. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and ask.
All right, thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben? Check our gallery.
I have a question. Sylvia.
Oh, great.
Can communities request a SAID study in our town, or what is the scope of your project?
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
Sure. What is the scope of the data collection for the pedestrian inventory for Southern New Hampshire for SNHPC?
What do you mean, like?
Funds programmed in our UPWP to do this sort of effort. We don't know how much we'll be able to do with the funding available, but we'd like to do as much as possible. And so if you are interested, let us know, and we can figure out how to start getting moving on that. I guess we want to do as much as we possibly can with the funding available. How far that takes us, it's hard for us to say, because we don't, other than a pilot program that Ben mentioned in Auburn, that's the only data collection we've done so far for pedestrian infrastructure. So, we anticipate that we will continue to have this funding available to us for this purpose in future UPWP cycles. So even if we don't get all the way through a community this particular year, we may have the ability to finish next year. And so, yes, let us know if you're interested, and we can try to at least get a portion of the community done, if not the entire community.
Yeah, great, thank you. All right, good question. So if you're a community and you're interested, please let us know. We do have a bit of a staffing issue right now, so it may be that we have funding, but we don't have staffing. But we'll certainly we'd love to chat with you. All right, I don't see any other item on business. Any other thing, Carl? Nate?
I'd like to note that for the TAC that today is Carl's birthday. It's a milestone for him. I think he's 30. He's
30 then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can we sing a song?
Yes, we should.
What if I brought you a cupcake or something?
I've had some last night. I'm gonna have more tonight.
We're spreading out the birthdays. We have 2 birthdays this month and our summer fun kind of outing. So next Thursday, we are celebrating Carl
And playing mini golf.
and playing mini golf.
Ooh,
Yeah.
fun.
That's good.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
All right. Put Carl on the spotlight. I can do that. That's frightening,
Where are
right?
you going to play mini golf? Where,
Chucksters, right?
Yeah, we go
do
to
this every year.
Chucksters and Hooksett.
okay,
Yeah.
we went to tee up, the Mel's Funway in Litchfield. The
Oh,
management team went there. We had a blast. We had a blast. There's go-karts.
Really?
Yeah, mini golf, go-karts, bumper boats,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's in Litchfield?
laser tag, yeah.
Gosh,
It was
we
really
should
fun.
switch it. I know.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I'm making note.
Yes,
as we
I've been
speak.
there.
Yeah.
It is.
All
Depends
right.
on who you go with. Oh.
Yeah, we've talked about going to the axe throwing place, but
Oh, okay.
We all know you're the expert, so it's no
But we-
competition.
but we haven't done that yet. Anyway, all right. Thanks, everyone, for your time and have a great rest of your day.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks again, everybody.
Good job, Ben.
The seats.
Take care, guys.
So that's kind of a platform.